Anime fans love to disagree. Whether it's a debate over their favorite anime, or the most underrated one, or the best waifu. Senjogahara is the only right option, by the way, I'm taking no other responses. There will always be discord. But in a field that is so defined by its contradictions, and people wielding their different opinions like a katana coated in Cheeto dust they bought for $5 from an anime convention, I believe there is always one universal constant. The God equation of anime, if you will. One that can forever and always bring us together under one big sweaty otaku umbrella. That constant being, of course, that anime openings slap. No matter what you think of an anime, the characters, the plot, whatever, what we can all agree on is whether it had a good opening. No questions asked. Every couple of months, a saint arrives onto YouTube to give a ranking of the best anime openings of all time. This is the most recent one I saw, and you know that those videos are copyright claimed to hell. So the people making them are doing it purely out of the goodness of their heart and dedication to the millions of fans who love anime openings. And these lists actually, usually only have a few small differences between them. Sometimes a new show brings a great new opening, like with Jujutsu Kaisen recently. Or maybe a list fails to include openings of shows because, well, the person making the list just hasn't seen them. Or perhaps one of the most popular just wasn't among their tastes. But there will always be ones that stick around. Your Unravels. Your Brave Shines. Your Hikaru Naras. And it really made me wonder, what about these openings specifically made them so distinctly memorable and amazing? Is it the visuals? Is it just the music? Is it the atmosphere and the tone of it all? What makes a great anime opening? Well, I of course could just give my personal opinions, but I don't think the words of one man could explain such a widespread phenomenon. So I put on my researcher glasses and looked at the connections, what tied together all of the best anime openings. I first checked out the most recent video to blow up on this topic, one that I watched a while ago back when it was recommended to me, and I compiled the top 20 songs on it. With the exception of the 20th pick, the opening for Elfen Lied, all 20 songs are bangers. Meaning they're the kinds of tracks that get you excited, your blood pumping, your head bopping to the insanely exciting Japanese rock music. And you might be thinking, aren't all openings, or all good openings, just solid Japanese rock music anyway? Isn't it a given that they're all like that? Well, yes and no. Though the motif of having Japanese rock as anime openings is a common trope, one that frankly dominates the market, it's not done in all anime. Some of my favorite openings, such as Monsters, or Mushishi's,
No shiver like I used to.
both sacrifice the hype of an opening for the atmosphere. For setting a specific tone, a worthy trade in my opinion. A very dark, brooding one for the former, and a relaxive, introspective mood for the latter. And so even though it is free reign for the animation company to choose what kind of opening the show will have, whether they prefer to focus on the feel of it rather than its overall hype and attraction, it does often fall on Japanese rock music, just because, well, clearly they succeed. Recognizing an anime opening is synonymous with recognizing the anime itself. It is such an important part of the series to fans and the companies making them. I remember absolutely nothing from Tokyo Ghoul Season 1 except Kaneki counting down by sevens and the opening. But even though the Monster and Mushishi opening are instantly recognizable in my opinion to any fans of said series, or anyone who remembers them at all really, they would never be seen on one of these lists of the best openings out there. Even though I love them, I also wouldn't put them here on my own list. And I suppose that this is enough evidence that hype, something that atmospheric openings often don't have, is one of, if not the most important parts of a good opening song. Even if it's not Japanese rock specifically, or even rock music in general, it is almost always an upbeat, fast BPM song in the upper echelons of anime openings. Looking at another list, we've got the same names I mentioned before: Unravel, Brave Shine, Hikaru Nara, but we've also got songs like the Cowboy Bebop opening, Attack on Titan's Gurren no Yumiya, and One Piece's first opening, We Are, which aren't along the conventional Japanese rock we normally see. Cowboy Bebop's is jazz fusion, Gurren no Yumiya is hard rock almost on the precipice of metal, One Piece's We Are is just... I don't know what We Are is, frankly. And I discovered an interesting connection between all of these songs, one that are highly ranked but don't follow the typical formula. And it's that almost all of them are songs made only for the anime. As I was saying earlier, openings are crucial in creating an anime and making it recognizable, and many times studios will actually reach out to record labels or artists to make songs just for the anime itself, instead of using a song that's already been made. In the case of Seatbelts, the band that produced the forever iconic opening and soundtrack of Cowboy Bebop, the composer Yoko Kanno formed the band for the sole purpose of making music for Cowboy Bebop, which explains its god-tier OST. I mean, they assembled like the Avengers just to make the music for this one show. Likewise, there are obvious instances such as One Punch Man's opening where they scream One Punch, or Steins Gate's opening, Hacking to the Gate, where the song has been made solely for the anime opening, where the lyrics and the visuals and the mood all coalesce as a perfect intro to the show. Now, the reason that every anime doesn't do this, even though it seems like a great idea, one that has historically panned out very well in creating a very iconic opening that is emblematic of the anime, is because it costs more money, frankly. It's easier to just get rights to a song that's already been made instead of making one from scratch, and finding composers to do it. But anyway, the purpose of this long tangent here was basically trying to say that as long as it's pretty hype and exciting, like all of these openings are regardless of whether it is specifically made for the show or not, it'll probably do well. There's no specific connection that I could find between whether openings made for the anime do better than ones that aren't, so in my eyes it's pretty clear that this is not a key factor, but it can help if you've got the funds. So what? Is hype, excitement the only thing you really need to make a good opening? There's no way that's it, right? Well, let's look a bit deeper before we settle on that conclusion. I believe, personally, that something that is incredibly, fundamentally important to how memorable an opening song is actually the opening's opening. The very first word said, or the very first sound you hear. The sonic cue that sends shivers down your spine opens the floodgates of endorphins. And I think it can be done in many ways. One example is lyrically. Many openings begin with a short, maybe 1 or 2 lines of just lyrics, either no music at all or very minimal backing track, and right after the lines finish, an epic drop into the beat and rhythm of the song. And this is certainly one of the most memorable ways for fans to start off any opening. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood Opening 1.
やり残してることをやり直してみたいから
Naruto Shippuden Opening 6. It is a very popular way to approach it, and why is that? Well, for one, it's a good way to ease into the episode. Openings almost always come either at the very beginning of the episode or after a short 2 to 3 minute beginning section or cold open. Either way, having a short vocal part to kick off the more upbeat and banging opening reels us back in gradually as we start the new episode, and very quickly sets off the trigger to get ready for what is to come. Plus, more so than anything, lyrics are always very, very memorable. Even if you're not fluent in Japanese, I could recite the beginning of any of these openings here because they're classic. It gets stuck in your mind just like any good song does. It's truly proof of the fact that music has no language barriers at all. And then there's also the openings with no language at all, actually, just a single audio cue. The moment you hear this one audio cue, you know what song it is. Steins Gate. Code Geass. It is a subtle but instantly recognizable introduction to the song, and I would argue that the main difference between this and lyrics is that the instrumental is just a single moment that'll trigger any weeb's spidey senses the moment it begins. It once again reminds us that recognizing an opening means recognizing an anime. But because there are so many famous openings that don't follow this format, ones that jump right into the music like Your Lie in April's opening, or Bloody Stream from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, or Silhouette from Naruto, it's too difficult to say this is a fundamental part of an anime opening being great. And so once again, we come back full circle to the hype, the excitement. And I think after 10 or so minutes of discussing this, I think I'm mentally prepared to accept the fact that maybe being exciting really is the most important underlying factor above all that is needed for any anime opening to become really widespread and unanimously popular. And yes, I know there are exceptions. I have exceptions of my own to this rule. But it seems, after all the time I've taken to research into small 1.5-minute snippets of songs across a variety of anime, more so than atmospheric effect and tone, or how the song begins, or whether it's made specifically with the anime in mind, making sure the audience just recognizes it and gets hyped to it seems to be what will always reign supreme. What are your thoughts? It's a rather bittersweet conclusion to arrive at, but the thing is, I love hype anime openings too. They're my favorite. I think there's something fundamentally connecting anime to exciting music that naturally appeals to all fans. But anyway, leave a comment on what you think. As always, this has been the Anime Culture Corner. I hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future in-depth show, manga, and character analyses.